Johnny Depp's legal team finished its second day of cross-examination of Amber Heard Tuesday. Depp is suing his ex-wife over an op-ed she wrote in 2018 for the Washington Post, where she described herself as a victim of domestic abuse. Depp's lawyers say he was defamed, although the piece did not mention his name. CBS News legal analyst Rikki Klieman joins me now for more. Hi there, Rikki. So what did we learn from Tuesday's cross-examination?
Tuesday's cross-examination was every bit as successful as the day before. Carmen Vasquez, the attorney for Johnny Depp, who is tasked with cross-examining Amber Heard, is about as good as it gets as a lawyer doing this technique. Cross-examination, we often say, Elaine, is the engine of truth, that it is there to discover where there are little lies, let alone big lies. And what you had in Carmen Vasquez was a lawyer who was not only well prepared and a good tactician and strategist, but she was someone who knew the technique of how to ask a question and how to corner the witness and then back it up with photographs, with videos, with documents. So what did we learn today? Today we learned that those bruises that Amber Heard painstakingly described on her direct examination, that there were no photographs of those bruises the way that she described them. She had talked about having a split lip. She had talked about having a broken nose. She talked about her feet being cut. She talked about the fact of her being shoved on her back, Johnny Depp kneeling on her back. What happened was on the back incident, that what Carmen Vasquez did was she showed pictures of Amber Heard in a totally backless dress, and there was not a bruise to be seen. When we dealt with the broken nose, split lip allegations, that what we then saw with the cross-examination were pictures of Amber Heard in the following day or days, including a TV show that Amber Heard was on as a talk show where she is opening up her mouth, and they created the video into different stills to show that there was no picture of any injury whatsoever. That's a very powerful technique in cross-examination.
Interesting. Well, what comes next in this trial, Rikki? When can we expect closing arguments and potentially a verdict?
When we look at what comes next, just as with Johnny Depp's testimony on his case in chief, Johnny Depp had many corroborating witnesses who was there to support his version of the events and therefore to discredit Amber Heard. Now we have Amber Heard, who has told her story in painstaking detail on direct. And what her lawyers want to do is to present her corroborating witnesses. That is, people who allegedly saw things, heard things that would support her version of saying that she was the person who lived with domestic violence and was in fact abused. What we will find out over the next days, going into next week, is if her witnesses, who will also be tested during cross-examination, can support her or not. We are told that closing arguments have been set for the 27th of May. Now, if the lawyers were to finish sooner than that, I assume that you could have closings before that. But I also think that the judge has been very precise about when this case is going to go to the jury. Elaine, as to a verdict, it's anybody's guess. This is a long case. It's a 5-week trial, and the jury has to really decipher a great deal of evidence and some complex legal instructions, including the fact that Johnny Depp has the burden of proof by clear and convincing evidence that he was defamed and then that he eventually suffered damages. That is a very high standard. It may not be quite as high as reasonable doubt in a criminal case, but it's a lot higher than a simple preponderance of the evidence, which we always look at as 51%. So what Johnny Depp must do is show that Amber Heard knew that her statements in this op-ed were false. Or in other words, yours that Amber Heard lied, and that she lied in that op-ed with a specific purpose of defaming him. It's a high burden for him. Keep in mind also, Elaine, there is a countersuit by Amber Heard, who says that she was defamed, certainly by Johnny Depp's lawyer, who called her allegations of abuse a hoax.
There's a great deal of interest in this case, Rikki Klieman. Rikki, thank you very much.
Good to be with you, Elaine.